Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mac Haik Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. I am Jaime Hellcat, and this is a 392 Daytona. Now behind me is a 392 Daytona, which is slightly different than a Scat Pack. When you go over to the Daytona, you're gonna get factory cold air intake, which releases about another 15 to 17 horsepower. The 392 is gonna have about 485, so you're gonna be dancing right around 500, 502 from the factory. All the warranties. It is a full-size four-door rear-wheel drive V8 sedan. If you take a look at the side, you can see it rides a little lower than a Scat Pack. Now, the difference between a Scat Pack and a Daytona are a little more than you would think. It's not just graphics. With the Daytona, you're gonna have your Super Track Pack suspension, which, like I said, makes you ride a little lower, gives you slightly firmer suspension, limits the amount of body roll. You're gonna have your Hellcat spec brakes, your oversized floating discs. You're gonna have your 6-piston Brembo caliper. Now, if you take a look, now you got your SRT logos on there. The wheels are now on the Daytona are gonna be 20 by 9.5, the same spec as you'd see on a Hellcat. Now, it's gonna be a forged aluminum wheel as opposed to a cast aluminum wheel. Why that's important is with a forged aluminum wheel, it allows it to be lighter and stronger. Why do you want lighter and stronger? It makes it for better responsiveness, it makes it for better turning, better acceleration, and better stopping all the way around. Now here we are as to what we like to call the business end of the Daytona, the front end, the portion of the car that not many people are gonna see. Now if you take a look, you're gonna have your HID headlights here, you're gonna have your fog lights down here, and keep in mind as well that any of the SRTs, including the Daytona, are gonna be limited by wind resistance. They're not electronically limited. Here at the bottom, you're gonna have your chin guards. These are just for shipping. They're designed to prevent them from preventing the car from getting scratched up. So in shipping, if they get scratched up, you just take these off and you're good to go. When you buy the car, take these off. Don't leave them on there. No bueno, take them off. Now, if you look here in the center, you're gonna have a little black orb. That black orb is gonna be your radar for your adaptive cruise control. What that allows the car to do, it allows it to match the speed of any car that's gonna be getting in front of you just a little slower. Now, if you're doing 70 miles an hour, somebody gets on the freeway or highway, turnpike, and gets a little closer, and they're doing 60 miles an hour and you're doing 70, it'll match that 60 miles an hour until the car gets out of the way. Once it's out of the way, it'll resume back to 70 miles an hour. Now, this hood scoop here is just designed to cool off the engine bay. These snorkels are new. It looks a little different from the earlier models. They're designed to create just a little bit more cooling, not much more than that. All right, now here's the side profile of the Daytona. Now, if you take a look at it, it is a full-sized four-door sedan. It is a rear-wheel drive sedan with a V8. To get more performance, you're gonna have to spend well into 6 figures. Take a look. And you can see how it rides a little lower. Now, if you get this car and you park it next to a Scat Pack, you're gonna wonder, why would you ever want a Scat Pack? It just looks so much more aggressive. Take a look over here in the back, you're gonna have your Daytona logo. You're gonna have your, what we call the cigar band. You're gonna have your matte black spoiler back in the back. All the SRT lines have no electronic limiter. It's gonna be strictly wind resistance that determines the top speed, obviously on a track. They ride true. Most cars are designed to slightly pull to the right, just for safety purposes. With all the SRT line, including the Daytona, they're strictly performance vehicles. And if you let the steering wheel go, it'll go directly straight, directly forward. If the road has any kind of a lean to it, it'll follow it. So just small things that are different that separate the SRT line, including the Daytona. This is the part of the Daytona just about everybody's gonna see, especially the dudes in Mustangs. Maybe not the GT500s, but probably all the other ones. But check this out. Listen. That's what I'm talking about. All right, let me turn it off before the exhaust fumes kill everybody. But this is the back end of the Daytona. Now you're gonna have your active exhaust. What that does is at lower RPMs, it's gonna have a butterfly valve that stays closed, keeps it a little quieter. As you can tell, not that much quieter. But once you get past, I believe it's 2,700 RPM, maybe 3,200 RPM, those butterfly valves open it up, frees up the exhaust, and frees up a little power, but it just makes it all nice and loud. And you're gonna have your park assist, which is gonna be your little sensors back here that do the beeping sound when you're back, that way you don't hit anything. You're gonna have your park view, which is gonna be your backup camera. Now, as long as you've got the key fob on you, You push this button, your trunk will open up. You've got plenty of room in the trunk. Normally, here's the part of the video where I go, hey, let's go show you how to change a tire. We can't do that in this car due to the fact that the SRT line has no spare tire, but you do have a little air compressor back here, and you're gonna have your sealant now that'll let you know that your tire's running a little low. It gives you a chance to go ahead and fill it with the sealant and use the compressor to air it up and get you somewhere to safety. Back here on the back on the right-hand side, you're gonna have your battery. Now with the battery being placed in the back, changes your weight distribution a little bit, and it also keeps the battery nice and cool, keeps it away from the engine compartment. Now, if you're gonna ask yourself, who would be the customer that would purchase the Daytona? It's gonna be a driving enthusiast. Now, it's gonna be somebody who's looking for something like a Scat Pack, but just a little bit more exclusive, something with a little bit more performance. That's gonna be the Daytona. A little bit more of a head turner, a little bit, not saying the Scat Pack isn't cool, just a little bit cooler than the Scat Pack. All right, so check it out. Now we are inside the 392 Daytona. That's where you really wanna be, not behind the Daytona. And if you take a look, you're gonna have your suede and Alcantara seats. Now, Alcantara is gonna be an Italian-made faux leather. It's actually wears better than traditional leather, and you'd find that in your old McLarens, you'd find it in the old Ferrari F40s, that kind of thing. Now it's inside the Daytona. You're gonna have your leather-wrapped steering wheel, which feels very good. With your SRT seats, you're gonna have your heavy bolstering, so just in case you happen to do an occasional track day, you'll have the support for lateral movements on it. You're gonna have your 8-speed transmission. You will have your paddle shifters as well. A cool trick that not many people know with the SRT line is if you're driving, let's say you're doing about 40 miles an hour, you're on the track, and somebody pulls up next to you on the track, and they wanna race you. If you hold down the negative paddle shift for 3 seconds, it'll drop it down to the lowest possible gear. Your RPMs will shoot to as high as they can right before they shift. Now you release it, and as soon as you punch it, it'll hit right close, very near the red line, giving you maximum traction, maximum power, and it'll shift on its own. So you basically don't even have to think about it. The car does most of the work for you. Now you're gonna have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. I happen to carry an iPhone. Now what I'll do, I'll be at home, and let's say I'm going somewhere, I'll just break out the iPhone. I'll use my Apple Maps or Google Maps or even Waze navigation. Find the locations you're going to, get in the car, plug it in, and when you do, boom, Apple CarPlay. Now here, this is on my way home. You'll see how it's already got your mapping listed out. Here are gonna be all your apps. You're gonna have your podcasts, your audiobooks, that kind of thing, your Spotify. Here's your Waze, and if you click on Waze, it automatically opens it up. You can ask for permission as well the first time you do it. On your performance pages, you click on it, and it'll allow you to tailor each drive mode. And you can have your normal drive mode, which will act like a normal car. Then you go over to your sport driving, and you can tailor as to the feel of your steering wheel. You can tailor your traction control as to how aggressive or how not aggressive you'd like it to be to help you out. That kind of thing. You've got all your different gauges. You've got your timers, your 0 to 60s, your G-force, and G-force will measure the peak G-force as to how hard you were stopping, how hard you were accelerating. I had somebody pull out in front of me. I was getting on the highway. I was doing about 70 miles an hour, and at the very last second, this guy just pulled up right in front of me, and he was doing 25 miles an hour. He's like, "Oh man, I got to get on." When I did, I just slammed on the brakes, and I decided to check out the G-force reader, and it read 1.25, which was mind-blowingly insane. But you can go back and it'll keep track of your maximum peak G load, either, like I said, accelerating, decelerating, or you're turning. It'll show you your steering angle. If you click on your engine, it'll show you the power, your torque, your oil pressure, what gear you're in. Your dyno will show you how much horsepower and how much torque the engine is generating at a perfect time. You can go ahead and you've got your launch control. That if you get the vehicle and you're at the track and you want to activate your launch control, what the launch control will do, it'll hold an RPM, and you can set it to 1100 RPM, 1200 RPM, but it will not be available to you until after the vehicle's been broken in for 500 miles. So just giving you an idea on your launch control. You can see here your climate. You can have it either electronically, just go ahead and use your touchscreen. Or if you're more of a kind of a person, you like your tactile feel, you can go ahead and turn up your air and turn up your dual climate controls. You'll have a climate setting for the driver and one for the passenger as well. You'll have your controls right up here for your sunroof. And this is gonna be a windsock. I don't know if you guys can see it. I don't know if they're catching it on film, but this windsock here is designed to have minimal turbulence inside the vehicle. You see here these little things that look like microphones, like speakers are actually microphones. Now what they'll do, they'll go ahead and register the interior sound, the ambient sound of the vehicle. And much like noise canceling headphones, it'll generate the opposing sound waves that'll make the interior of the cabin artificially quiet. Makes for a really quiet drive. I'm not sure if you can see, but you've got your Daytona logos here. The same, you'll have your airbags for your driver and your supplemental airbag for your passenger as well. Now, since we're talking and we're all close and all, I gotta come clean. The reason I know more about this car than some of the other cars that we've gone over is I own one. I own a 2017 Daytona. It's a 392. And let me tell you how it drives. You're gonna have almost perfect 50-50 weight distribution. It's a heavy car, but it just doesn't feel that way. And when you're driving it, 80 miles an hour feels like you're doing 40 miles an hour. Not saying that you should do 80 miles an hour. Just a great driving car. The acceleration, suspension, the firm suspension, it just installs just a driver confidence. It's just cool. And like I said before, you have to spend over $100,000 in order to get into another vehicle that'll provide that. Now we're inside right now, so I'm gonna turn it on just for a second, just to give you an idea of what the drive modes look like. So let the screen turn on. Okay, now I've already got it. So you're gonna have your track, your sport, and your custom. So you got your track mode, and the vehicle will go ahead and pop up, and you can see it, you can customize it. There you go. Now you can change it. You can go ahead and tailor it. You can tailor your driving. Like I said, the feel of your steering wheel. You can have it in comfort mode, makes it nice and easy. Sport makes it a little tighter, and track makes it very tight. Gives you maximum track feel. What you get with your traction control, you can set it up. Some people like to have a lot of traction control. Some, if you're on the track, you like to have little or even no traction control. Now, if you're crazy, which I'm not quite that crazy, you can go ahead and shut off all the nannies. You can shut off your traction control, your electronic stability control, and it's just you in the car. Now, a while back I had a Scat Pack, and I got crazy. I decided to shut everything off, driving with a friend of mine, and I decided just to give it a little more gas than I should have. And you think you can control the car, you tell yourself you can, and without the nannies, it becomes a handful. It didn't take long for me to spin the car out by accident. And I think I'm a pretty good driver, but I guess I'm really not. What I'm saying is you've got all these nannies, and it's a very safe car, even with the roughly 500 horsepower that you've got. You're gonna have your adaptive cruise control, like I mentioned earlier, with the orb in the front, so you can set the distance as to how close or how far you follow. You can set your launch control, so you can set which RPM you're gonna launch from, so it'll prevent or keep wheel spin down to a minimum. This Daytona is gonna have the Harman Kardon stereo. I've got the older one with the Beats audio. Doesn't compare to the Harman Kardon. You're gonna pay a little bit more, but like I said in Pulp Fiction, you're gonna know where every penny went. It's good stuff. I guess in closing, you're gonna wonder, why should you buy this car? Just rules. It's cool. It's not gonna break the bank. I mean, it's not a cheap car. It's not a cheap car, but by all means, it's not in the six figures, and it'll humiliate cars costing twice as much, you know, without even trying. It's American made. You got American muscle, you know. We loaded up a car, one of the SRTs, and it was headed to New Jersey. You know, the guy used the same transporters that Jay Leno did, and it was a plum crazy purple Challenger. It was an SRT at the time. And when we're loading it up, it was getting loaded up right behind a Porsche 911. And in the video, I said this Porsche 911 is about to get a rude introduction into some American muscle. That's what this is. Hands down, it's just a muscle car. It's cool. All right, once again, thanks for watching the video. Be sure to click below, subscribe, hit the notifications button. That way, whenever we're releasing a video, you get it. And if you have any questions, as always, go ahead and write them down below. We'll answer quickly. Thanks again.